By all means, if you just want to skip ahead to the conclusion where I sit here and personally say what I think is the best investment for this week, just look at the description, scroll down, you'll see the conclusion chapter right there at the bottom, okay? I understand I might be sitting here and yapping for quite some time. It's justified. This is a good-looking Rustor. But you probably just want to skip ahead and find out what I'm thinking. So, alright, cool. But still, I will be looking at all of these skins because, of course, good day, Ruskin enjoyers. Hope you're alright because it is time for the predictions video. I'm going to go ahead and look at all of these skins, and I'm going to go ahead and try and figure out which of these skins potentially is the best investment for this week, which of these skins might help us walk away with some sweet, delicious looking profit. Sit back, relax. I'm going to start yapping. Yeah, this is a pretty good looking Rustor. We saw a lot of interesting individual designs. We have seen a lot of interesting collection continuations. Quite a lot of surprise late picks. The Fish Roadsign gloves, they waited 5 years to be accepted. So, okay, cool. That's nice. That's interesting. But what is potentially the best investment for the week? To be honest with you, there's a lot of potential for pretty much everything here. Now, if you have not yet seen, consider watching the Rust Rotation video to get a good look at all these brand new skins, because honestly, there's some very nice looking designs, and, well, there's a lot of comparisons that needed to be made. This video did go on a bit longer compared to previous videos, but again, there's a good reason for it. Notably, of that optimized AK-47 right there, we had to compare to the comics AK-47. So, of course, all the chapters are right there. Consider giving that a good watch. And now, back over to here. I should just quickly point out, 13 skins in total, 3 of them are not abnormal. Fish Roadside gloves, fish boots, training crossbow, those are the 3 skins that are not abnormal this week. Everything else is. So some of you might be sitting there and saying, Hedge, why did you wait until now to start, posting your predictions video? I like to pace myself. Right now, we're 23 hours in since the Rust rotated, and I think I've got a pretty good insight now to seeing how far these skins could potentially go. Could they sell recklessly? Could they sell reasonably? You get the idea, I'm not going to sit here and give you the estimates. That's for the 48-hour analysis, but I can give you a rough estimate. So, all right, cool. But yes, pace yourself with investments. You don't need to rush in and try to get a purchase done immediately. This is why I always talk about the abnormals. This is why I suggest you to start watching the Abnormal Barter videos, all right? So with the most recent Rustor we had, obviously last week's skins, Redemption SKS, Black Ops Tier 2, Naval Camo boots and gloves, we saw some pretty cool looking designs. But I wouldn't feel confident to actually jump in and make some purchases until we've done the Abnormal Barters. So consider watching this video here. Watch the first 5 minutes, skip ahead to the Barters chapter, watch as we race to get those Barters down, but most importantly, listen in as I talk about the Abnormal Barter support. After looking at all those skins after the Barters, I felt confident to jump in and buy 30 of the Redemption SKS, 50 of the Black Ops kilt, and of course 30 of the Naval Camo Roadsign gloves. How could I feel justified? Watch, listen in. So, alright, cool. So last week was pretty good as well. Let's just quickly remind you. We saw some pretty interesting looking skins there. Sales were somewhat high in comparison to the previous skins. I mean, wasn't too bad in that particular instance. But back over to here. With the clothing and armor this week, I should point out, it's not exactly grabbing the most attention, is it? The top 3 skins are some very cool looking designs. An AK, a garage door, and a sheepman door. But we got Roadsign gloves and boots right there. We've got hoodie and pants right here. They're not completing the set. They're just continuing it. Or in that particular instance, starting it. I'm talking more specifically for a clothing and armor set. If they don't sell that much, but we do see more collection continuations in the future for them, all the better for them to rise up in price potentially very highly in the future. So that, with a lack of sales, only makes it look a lot more appealing. Oh. So, alright, let's now quickly hop out of here. As you might notice, we've gone up a little bit. As you'll see here, look at the number go up. Yep, we're up to date. All is good. Let's now go through all these skins. Individually figure out, could these skins work out as very nice investments in the future? And then, of course, at the end of this video, we'll have a conclusion, and I'll sit here and say personally what I think is the best investment for this week. Optimized AK-47, $3.49. That is quite pricey. And in the past, we have seen quite a lot of interesting AK-47 sell for a higher price and then drop off pretty badly. AK-47, you had a transparent aim sight. You sold for $3.49. You're now $1. Oh dear. Gold Chains AK-47, a collection continuation, sold for $3. Now it's $1.29. Oh. So why is this so special? Because it's a white AK-47 with a bit of transparency. So of course I should just quickly point out that is not the most insane, super helpful transparent aim sight we have ever seen on an AK-47, but the fact that it's a full white AK-47 definitely makes it a lot more appealing. Now, of course, in my rust rotation video, immediately I felt the need to go ahead and do a comparison between those two AK-47s. So again, if you go see that with your own eyes, consider watching. I do chapter it right there. But yes, the optimized AK-47, oh, it does a very good job. It's a very nice looking skin. It blends in very nicely, a full whiteout. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if this actually works out very, very nicely. Now, I did say it wouldn't surprise me if that goes over 30,000 subscribers. Chances are it might actually go up to 40,000 subscribers. That's a bit absurd, isn't it? But you know what's also absurd? The price of the Comics AK-47, $20+. Now, last night, it was actually comfortably at $22. Seems some other people might have taken notice. They probably tried to get some sales in whilst they can. I'm not sure if that's like doomed, but it kind of wouldn't surprise me if that still retains. With all due respect, that is a nice looking skin, and after I did the comparison, I respected that. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of people that would just rather stick with that. But for a lot of other people out there, they can't just drop $20 just like that. $3.49, that's a lot more affordable, that's a lot more approachable. But let's just point out, this Comics AK-47 has been out since, what, May 2021? Wow, 5 years. So, May 2021, it's slowly been going up in price, higher and higher and higher. That has actually worked out very, very nicely. One thing I should go ahead and find out then, how much did that sell? Let's just scroll down, back to 2021. I should have had this prepared, I'm so sorry. So, where is that Comics AK? There it is. That did 35,000 subscribers. Wow. That's a lot. So, looking at you, I will sit here and say, that could also do around 35,000 subscribers. And initially, that might have a few hiccups. But if we were to just point out, summer peaks usually happen around July and August. And we're getting closer and closer and closer to that. So let's just quickly go ahead and point out April 2026. Honestly, wasn't that bad. Yeah, we dropped off. But compare that to the previous year, oh, we're actually still improving. Player counts are still doing pretty sweet. Technically speaking, Rust is still growing as a whole. And if I could just quickly sit here and say, July, August, I mean, it wasn't really that much people playing, especially compared to what we're looking at right now. So how many people are going to turn up for July and August this year? It might not look as if it was that high, but the prices were going very high. Summer peaks last year were very, very good, okay? Looking at you, I'll keep an eye on you. I am tempted. Still, even then, I think I'll be buying some. I honestly believe a lot of people will be respecting it, wanting it, pairing it up with full whiteout. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident, but I want to do the abnormal barders first, all right? So I'm going to wait till Wednesday. We'll look at the total sales. We'll figure out a decent price to offer. We'll race to get those barders down. And then afterwards, we'll look at the support. We'll see how many barders it has, how high the prices go. Then I'll consider if I actually want to go ahead and jump in and buy some. Have I even mentioned that this could turn into a proper weapon collection? You might recall previously we've had the Python. Unfortunately, it's a transparent aim sight Python. We have a lot of them now. They're not so special. But I can also point out we have seen some interesting designs, such as Tier 3, and also a very nice looking SAR. Maybe that gets resubmitted, we'll see, hey? I'm not saying no. Again, it's another transparent aim sight SAR right there. Ooh. So, alright, cool. Lots of potential there. I respect it. I think that's going to retain quite nicely in the future. So, moving on from there, with the Apotheosis of War Garage Door, this is an awesome looking design. Like, Doom vibes, yep. Are you a fan of the Apotheosis of War collection? Have you seen the reaction? So if I go over to here real quickly, you'll see the bed has gone up in price very, very nicely. $5.60 on the Steam market. Armored Double Door. Unfortunately, you came out during March 2026, and that was when the focused item of the month was the Armored Double Door. We saw a lot of Armored Double Door skins being accepted in such a short amount of time. So that did suffer initially, but it's recovering now. With the arrival of the Garage Door, that is recovering. And that is nice to see. So, okay. People are appreciating the Apotheosis of War collection. I should now quickly point out other skins have been submitted recently. We saw a Sheep Metal Double Door. We saw an Armored Door, right? What next, though? Like, what would you personally like to see being made next? Comment below. I'm sure the skin creator might be reading in. He might be taking notes. Offer your opinion now. I want a water purifier. Don't you dare. Anyway, moving on. So, yeah, it's another Garage Door. I will sit here and say, yeah, I'm fully well aware. We just keep seeing ridiculous amount of Garage Doors every single year. But every now and then, something pops in and it looks amazing. And I just can't help but sit here and say, maybe this is going to be the one. Mystic Tree Garage Door last year. That was an awesome looking design. That was what you voted for to be the best skin of the year for 2025. Do you reckon we have something very similar right here? I personally believe, yes, that's going to very likely reach up to and go over 30,000 subscribers. Still, even then, I think that's going to retain its value. And with the possibility of more Apotheosis on the horizon, even better. But there will be a lot more Garage Doors this year. Inevitably, later this year, we'll also have the Autumn Fall Seasonal Dip. Will that then go below its Rust or price? Probably. Maybe it goes down by like 10 cents. And then post-Christmas next year, it probably goes up to $5. We'll see. Who knows if we actually see another collection continuation. Who knows if it actually goes even that further. But that's an awesome looking design. So, cool. I respect it. Let's move on. Now, to counter that, anime. So if I could just quickly go ahead and remind you, earlier this year we have seen Hazma Collection. And Hazma Collection has been doing very, very, very nicely. Notably, the Sheep Metal over 40,000 subscribers, sold for $2.49. Now it's comfortably in the positive at just below $4. That has worked out as a nice investment, and we have not yet gone through the summer peaks. And chances are we might see more of this collection because there's a Sheep Metal right there. Now we have Popstar, or rather, Popstar was first. It has returned. That Garage Door is now $8. What? It's $8. It is $8. Oh my. Hedge, do you still own some of these? Yep. Yes, I do. Okay. So, as much as a portion of the people out there sitting there and saying they don't like anime in Rust, I'm sorry, but you're losing. All right? This keeps getting acceptances. Acceptance after acceptance after acceptance. 3 in a row. 3 Popstar skins in a row. Oh boy, do you reckon it's going to be 4 in a row? Do you reckon it'll be 4 in a row? The horror's beyond my comprehension. Anyway, moving on from there. So, the collection's doing good. That isn't really selling that much, though. I thought it'd probably do a little bit more. Maybe a lot of people are going to wait till the last second. But let me remind you, next Rust rotation is going to be May Force Wipe. It's going to be an early Rust rotation. Oh. So, I'm not sure how many people are going to wait till the last second, but I still think that could push up to 30,000 subscribers. I'm just not fully confident that's going to actually surpass it and go over. But if it does, okay, cool. Initially, I was expecting that, but I am surprised that this hasn't sold as much compared to these two. It's getting close, but obviously not as good. But still, Hazma worked out wonderfully. Popstar Collection has been working out amazingly. And the skin creator, he does have a few more ideas on the horizon, but he might be taking a break for now, all right? But he took a break after a while. Like, take a look. As you might notice, we saw at the end of last year, the bed, and then after that, for a good few months, nothing really. And then he makes a return. Boom. Suddenly everything goes back up into the positive. So, cool. Awesome. Not going to complain. So as long as we see more in the future, I'm happy. But now, could we see, I don't know, a locker, a sheet metal double door, an armored door? I'm pretty sure that'll be happening eventually. How could he say no? Look at the sales. Not as much compared to these at the moment, but still very, 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 very good. So, yeah, I have confidence with that. Yes, it might be it might be $3, but I can't help but assume, much like what we saw at the Hazma collection, that will also be appreciated. And in the future, if we see another door, maybe that also will be pushing up to $8, much like the garage door. So, yes, I'm positive. I respect it. It's a very nice, cheery, joyful, colourful design. And you know what? We need more things like this in Rust. We're so miserable. All we do is just hate. But, yeah, a lot of people sit there and say, what's this got to do with Rust? Well, I mean, it's got all these acceptances so far. Does it really need to be? Stick her in a hazmat suit. No, no. Right, anyway. I respect it. I can't help but assume that will still work out quite nicely. But again, abnormal borders first. We must. Sorry for scratching my nose. It's really itchy. Barbecue. Bamboo barbecue. Let's go there. So this is actually a collection continuation. It's not referenced here on SEMM. But yes, this is paired up with the Bamboo Cage collection. Only the locker's doing quite all right at the moment. With the arrival of this, these two barely changed. That's a bit of a shame. So individually speaking, that's a pretty cool looking barbecue. It wasn't the first attempt like this. There was another one. There was an interesting metallic design. What I'm saying is, you might see more things like this. You might see some more wacky looking barbecues. It's an open grill. Anyway, that's cool. That's nice. I'm not sure what to expect though. Like, let's just take a real quick look at the barbecues of the past. And, wow, they started to drop off, haven't they? I guess people are suddenly starting to realise, oh, wow, we're still seeing barbecues being accepted. How many barbecues are there going to be? Why are there still more barbecues? So, with it being a brand new skinnable, Face Punch can't stop themselves from accepting and accepting and accepting and accepting and accepting. And with more and more options becoming available, they're all starting to suffer because of it. Not you, Space Station. You're doing good. So, uh-oh. So like I said, if we start seeing more and more barbecues like this, is it going to maintain interest or is it going to suffer because of it? I kind of would be surprised if we do start seeing more barbecues like this. Now, by all means, if you thought, oh, well, that's funny, I need that in my base, just buy it. Buy it, use it, enjoy it, support the skin creators, keep them nice and motivated to keep wanting to put out nice creative designs in the future, all right? If you think that's a cool looking skin, just treat yourself. Buy it. Not everything has to be an investment, okay? So, yeah, barbecue. You do look cool. You do look nice. It's just, I can't help but expect a lot more barbecue skins on the horizon. It really wouldn't surprise me. So, okay. At $3, that is a bit of a concern. But, hey, it's selling quite nicely. I'm sure the skin creator's happy. We'll see if we have more interesting collection continuations after this, right? But, what would accompany a barbecue? I guess we've got to wait and see. Fish roadside gloves and boots. So boots aren't selling, they're not selling as much compared to the roadside gloves. Not too surprised by that. But that is a cheap green pair of clothing. That is cheap green roadside gloves and boots. Now, in the Rust rotation video, I did do a comparison with tank helmet gloves. With all due respect, I thought tank helmet gloves were probably a better option. But tank helmet gloves, how much are they? Oh, they're $6. For a cheap, budget, green set, I can't help but sit here and say fish roadside gloves are probably a go-to option. Like, maybe it won't go all the way up to $6, but maybe that might end up at like $1.50 or $2. It would still be profitable. So, yeah, 99 cents each. They're not abnormal. That might be a bit of a concern. But fish collection as a whole, I mean, with all due respect, that's looking pretty good. But with all due respect, it's incomplete. Where's the hoodie of pants? Where's the tier 3? It was attempted. It wasn't accepted. That waited 5 years to be accepted, all right? I really want to get that across to all of you. You might be hopeful that we definitely see the other pieces being accepted and whatnot, but maybe you might have to wait another year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So yeah, let's just quickly point out, we have seen interesting hoodie and pants being made in the past. We have seen interesting tier 3 being made in the past. It's just, where is it? I want it, Face Punch. I need it. Where is the tier 3? It's gone. It's just, oh, there you go. Right. Had a lot of transparency in the front. So, yep, there you go. This was submitted back in 2021. And this was submitted like a year ago. That was submitted May 2025. Maybe Shedmon feels reinvigorated and wants to return and try and do another attempt for the hoodie and pants in the tier 3. We'll see. But, you know, it's been available before and they didn't accept it. So, aside from that, to be honest with you, I'm still thinking a lot of people will be appreciating that as cheap green camouflage, as cheap green gloves and boots. Now, it might be a bit debatable. If you even need to have green boots, you could just wear standard boots in a grassy area. It's just going to get covered in grass anyway. So that might not be as important, or rather as in demand compared to the roadside gloves, but still, it is cheaper in comparison to Forest Raiders. I think people would still take a liking to that. So overall, my opinion is I think we want to keep an eye on the sales. If that barely does over, like, let's say, I don't know, 12,000 subscribers, I might be jumping in and buying some. And at the moment, that looks like it's going to struggle to even reach 10,000 subscribers. But a lot of people, Thursday, they might wait till then and then make a purchase, right? But remember, May Force Wipers next door, it's expected to be an early rust rotation. So keep that in mind. So yeah, both of that looking promising. The lack of sales only making it look a lot more interesting. So, all right, we'll keep an eye on that. But at the very least, do remember, compare to the tier 2 armor. We do have that. Fish Roadside Pants only did 7,000 subscribers. Coffee Can, Vest, 11,000 subscribers. If they match up to these, I'm fine with that. And regardless, if we see a collection continuation, even better. Roadside gloves specifically, if it's part of a collection, people do appreciate. The vast majority of these gloves are part of collections. The vast majority of them are in the positive. So moving on from there with the Mecha Salvaged Axe. And that right there, well, with all due respect, initially that was doing quite alright. It's dropped off now. Now this is initially doing quite alright. What happens next? When I looked at this, when I got a good look at it in the rust rotation, I respected that the Mecha Salvaged Axe was doing A-OK, and I thought maybe this could also do quite alright. But of course, with it being a brand new skinnable, how many more skins are we going to see being accepted this year? And when are we going to start seeing pairings with ice picks? Salvaged Axe, Salvaged Ice Pick, Stone Tools, regular tools, Salvage Tools. Will people prefer to use the Salvaged Axes that are accompanied with an ice pick? That's an interesting consideration. Anyway, Mecha Axe, I see nothing wrong with it. It's a perfectly fine looking skin. It's just how many more Salvaged Axes will be appearing and how many more will have other interesting transparent designs. There's nothing wrong with it. It's A-OK. It's just, I don't really know how to approach Salvaged Axes at the moment. I'm not feeling that confident. I'm not really sure. So, yeah, I'm still skeptical. I'm still a little bit too cautious. But by all means, if you like it, buy it, use it, enjoy it. Support the skin creator. Keep them nice and motivated to keep wanting to put out nice creative designs. Hey, you might have a mecha collection. That sounds cool. So keep an eye on Mr. Kelmo Legend and his workshop. See what he produces over the course of this weekend. HellCore hoodie pants. So, after quite some time, we finally see some clothing and armor being accepted. I should remind you, Tier 3 was submitted first. We also saw a revolver. We saw a crossbow. But now, this is accepted. So, okay. Only waited a while. But what happens next? I should point out, didn't we just have Black Ops Tier 2? Yeah. But, to be honest with you, it's not a big surprise to have two blackout alternative options being, well, continued, completed. You get the idea. So about 2 years ago, we had Commando and Black Diamond. Both of them were completed. So, okay. Shouldn't be too bad of a problem. Should be quite alright. Here's hoping we do get more of the collection. Maybe the Tier 3 needs to be resubmitted. Maybe we've got to keep an eye out for boots and gloves. Tier 2, you get the idea. Yeah. But it's not selling that much. Again, much like what I saw in regards to the boots and gloves. If we do see a collection continuation, and, well, for example, if this only barely did 10,000 subscribers, that is only looking to be a whole lot more appealing. Now, HellCore, it has been very, very, very successful. I'm talking like 75% of all submissions have been accepted. So eventually, where we see Tier 2, boots and gloves, Tier 3, I certainly hope so, and I do feel confident for it. I am looking at those hoodie pants now. I'm feeling confident that I'll probably be buying some. Here's hoping we see those continuations, because if we don't, I might cry. Look at tyre collection last year. Where's the tier 3 tyre collection? The tyre tier 3 here. I'm just slow down, sorry. But yeah, that was incomplete. But still, just more. Just some more would be appreciated. So it could just be boots and gloves. That'd be fine. The hoodie pants will still spike a spike of price. So, okay. We'll see what happens next. It's fine. It is a bit shiny. Consider watching the rust rotation to see that with your own eyes. But just gotta wait and see now. Keep an eye on the sales. Maybe it actually manages to sell less than 10,000 subscribers. If tier 2 or tier 3 comes out and sells a fair bit more, that will automatically become the most valuable pieces. So, alright, cool. Keep an eye out. Brutalist Base Box. The Base Box collection has made a return. Just want to point out, we did see the wooden box being accepted. It's just, it was based on another person, so don't you worry about that. Anyway, that is not in demand. The collection didn't hold up very well, did it? No. Brutalist Base Box, you're fine for what you are, but it really wouldn't surprise me if it still drops off. I'm sorry to say, but it feels like an inevitability. Like, this isn't selling that much. Let's compare to the other boxes real quickly. 19,000 subscribers, almost 14,000 subscribers, 14,400 subscribers. This right here, I think it's going to barely even reach 9,000 subscribers. Maybe it might sell quite nicely afterwards because of a lack of sales. We'll see. But this was randomly picked out from over a year ago. Almost 2 years. I don't think the base box collection's making a return. Although, with all due respect, we have noticed some sort of pseudo continuations right here. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm still having doubts. I'm not feeling 100% confident in it. But by all means, if you thought it looked cute, if you like it, buy it, use it, enjoy it, support the skin creator, keep them nice and motivated to keep wanting to put a nice creative designs in the future. Training crossbow, not abnormal. And whilst it does appear to have some transparency, I did do a comparison with the Stinger crossbow. It doesn't really compare. You've got that little bit right there and that's it. That's just it. It's not going to be an insane investment. So, okay, cool. Can I just look at crossbows in general real quickly? Because you might notice not all of them have worked out stupendously, wonderfully and whatnot. Stinger crossbow did, but Stinger crossbow actually has useful transparency. Now, I should point out, there was a HellCore crossbow that was resubmitted recently, which had transparency. If that were to appear after this would be doomed. Sorry to say. But even then, training weapons haven't exactly changed the world. Well, I mean, that one did. But, yeah. For a fairly in-demand collection, it's surprising to see every single weapon skin down in price. You can't count that one, though. You can't count that one. So I'm just not feeling very confident. That might just be like a $1 buy order. We'll keep an eye on the sales, though. The sheer lack of sales does make it look a little bit more appealing. But overall, I'm still thinking, I think I might just stick with a buy order. Priced at $2.49, say hello to the Eye of the Sahara. Now, let's just immediately point out, we did recently see a collection continuation being produced, The Rock. This right here has transparency. You might recall the HellCore bow with the Black Ops bow. Both of them had transparency. Both of them have been holding up reasonably, if I can recall. Let's just go ahead and take a look. HellCore is only down by 6%. Black Ops bow is now selling for $5. Wow. So, I will sit here and say, by default, I'd expect this to also do quite nicely. It's a very nice gold and shiny looking bow. Watch the rust rotation to see that with your own eyes. But based on what I'm looking at, I'm not 100% sure this is going to do amazing. Maybe with more collection continuations on the horizon, it does a little bit better. That'd be nice. You've got to keep an eye on the workshop. You've got to keep an eye on what Mr. Shino's going to cook next. Maybe some people have asked. No mentions of asking for a collection continuation, but hey, we'll keep an eye on it. I am hesitant because the majority of hunting bows don't work out very nicely. Oh dear, oh dear. But maybe that'll be special simply due to the fact that it has that little bit of transparency and it's a very cool shiny looking golden bow. So we'll see what becomes of that. Lack of sales though. Lack of sales. Nuke Vibe Jackhammer. I don't really expect that much of it. Of course, Popstar went high up in price, of course. But based on what I'm looking at here, Nuke Vibe Collection, oh boy, hell, it's not vibing with people, it seems. The collection isn't really holding up very well. It's unfortunate, but you have to acknowledge that. All the recent Jackhammers we saw, it's majority, it's not looking super great. No. Again, these two, I was pretty positive with these two. I should have bought some of them. I reckon these two will work out quite right in the further future. But this, I'm having doubts. I'm not feeling that confident. You might not sell that much. Maybe that might help you out. Maybe a sheer lack of listings on the Steam market would maybe help it out. But I don't imagine that's going to go up to like $10 or anything. I think it just might just be stagnant. So yeah, that's it. That's all the skins. That was a lot of yapping. We have spent 30 minutes looking at all these skins, talking about could they work out quite right in the future. Shall we now go ahead and quickly talk about some other things? Commits. So of course with the May 4 swipe next week, there's a lot of interesting things expected to be implemented. Workbench changes, some brand new DLC. I believe the crypt building skin is coming out next week. We'll see if that's actually going to happen. Darts game is being worked on, yes. Seems pub games might be worked on at the moment. A game room DLC is on the horizon. Can we have air hockey, please? Please! Anyway, maybe we'll get like some arcade games and whatnot. Maybe another beanbag. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. So another DLC is currently being worked on. What else will there be? I'll wait and see. So keep an eye on the commits. There's always new content being mentioned. Power plant, power grid was subject to change. Interesting. Satellite crash. Satellite crash is back. Oh, the old idea that very likely could be turned into a monument. Interesting. All right. So keep an eye on the commits. New stuff has always been mentioned. You just got to look at every now and then, like every other day. Just go through all the things that are being talked about and start plotting. Oh. Could that lead to certain skins going up in value, maybe? Oh, we'll see. We'll see. So, yep, that's looking pretty sweet. That's looking pretty cool. But, you know, just for Rust, it's nice to be aware of new content on the horizon. So that's looking pretty sweet. We already mentioned that the player count is doing very, very nicely. For a March and an April, whilst it still went down, it's doing considerably better compared to all the previous years. I believe this is the first ever instance that an April has had over 100,000 people average playing for the month. That is good. Will May be as good as last year? I'm not sure. May 2025 had the jungle update. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. But if it's equal or a little bit better, I'm happy. So as long as it stays over 100,000, good. Now, I should now quickly hop over to here. If you weren't fully well aware, with this week's Rust store, only one skin was an early pick. Chances are the majority of skins that will be picked next week will be skins that you're going to see in this particular video. Say hello to the Rust Workshop Skin Checks video. Now, I should just quickly point out, in this particular instance, I only discussed and showcased the collection continuations. Notably, we saw Popstar Tier 3, Optimized Tier 3. We also saw Porcelain Clothing again, a version 3 attempt. So consider giving that a good watch if you want. But from here and now, I might only talk about the collection continuations now. I'll still make the full list, but I only talk about the collection continuations. I get the feeling people don't want to sit there and listen to me yet for about an hour and 20 minutes. They'd much rather I sit there and talk about the collection continuations for about 40 minutes. Consider watching. Give me your criticism, your feedback. It'd be helpful. So, all right, cool. And another thing, I've been making videos discussing all the pay-to-win helpful transparent doors. So far, I've done wooden doors, and of course, right there, I now have garage doors. You might have seen the video from 4 years ago where Hedge talks about all the garage doors back in August 2022. We only had a handful. Well, now we've got over 20. I've shown off every single somewhat useful garage door right there. They are all listed. They have all their details right there, and there's tons of chapters. Consider giving that a good watch. It's an hour and 30 minutes, but by all means, maybe just look at what's there, skip ahead to the one that you actually care about. It's up to you. So, yeah, for other people not sure what garage store to get, maybe that might be helpful for you. Right, so there you go. That's pretty sweet. I believe we've yapped more than enough about the skins, more than enough about the other content. And so, let's now go through these skins and try and figure out, in conclusion, what do I personally think could potentially be the best investment for this week? So I'll just pick out a few skins, and the rest of them, whilst they're very likely still work out quite all right on their own and whatnot, I should pick out the ones I personally believe will be doing pretty sweet in the future. I've got to say, optimized AK-47, it might push up to 40,000 subscribers, but in the long term, will we ever see another AK like that? Well, you might see like a Twitch drop or a kick drop. Ooh, but aside from that, I think they'll be doing pretty good, especially as we go through July and August. How high will it go? Maybe up to about $5, maybe. Maybe it has far too many people trying to get a quick profit, and people dump. I'm sorry to say, but there are people like that. They're not very smart. So we'll see what becomes of that. But yes, that is looking to be very interesting. So as long as this is like priced at that, people will be looking for other options. And I think that'll be the next go-to option. How far will you go with your sales? How high could you go with your potential price? I think it's looking pretty sweet. I think there's a lot of positives behind it. I think we could see an optimized collection being built around that. That's looking pretty sweet. But next I have to talk about Popstar Sheep Matador. I have to talk that ahead of the garage door, honestly. With the way anime skins have been performing this year, if that's not looking like it's going to sell ridiculously, like again, maybe that ends up at around 25,000 subscribers. That's fine. Yep, Sheep Matadors in general, they don't really work out very nicely unless it's an anime girl. Now, if it had transparency, if it glowed in the dark and it has transparency, maybe it would have also done quite nicely as well. But I just can't help but assume, with the reaction it's got, after seeing that garage door go all the way up to $8, what's stopping from seeing another door being produced and accepted, and that also going up to $8? Yeah, I have to bring that up. It's looking pretty interesting. So, yeah, you do have less sales compared to these two here. You're still likely going to sell quite a lot. But if it does turn out that you only reach around 25,000 subscribers by Wednesday, I might have to buy 100 of them. I'm not joking. It is looking to be pretty interesting. Next, I have to talk about HellCore hoodie and pants. I would like to talk about fish roadside gloves and boots. Like, hey, that's cheap green camouflage right there, Hedge. Very affordable, very approachable. But we might have to wait another 5 years to see more pieces being accepted. Whereas with this, HellCore is consistent. HellCore has been like getting a lot of acceptances as of recent. I reckon if we saw the boots and gloves, the tier 2, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see that being accepted eventually. Like, I should remind you, Black Ops tier 2 took like 2 months. It took like 2 months to finally be accepted, but it did eventually happen. We do have 2 blackout alternative options, currently now looking towards trying to get collection continuations now. But if Mr. Dillery was smart, he'd focus doing tier 2 next, because Black Ops has already got tier 2. And then, of course, like tier 3 again. Yeah. Don't do boots and gloves, please. So, all right, cool. Keep an eye out. If we do see a collection continuation, I do believe that'll be going up ever so nicely. And honestly, if we didn't have these 3 skins in this rush store, this very likely would have been the top-selling skin. But that didn't happen, did it? No. It's not looking to sell ridiculously. And the ones that came out after it very likely will be selling more than this. You saw what happened to Naval Camo. Naval Camo hoodie and pants came out first, but they sold the most. And yet even then, they are the most expensive pieces. Now imagine that, but they're sold next to nothing. Oh. So that is the hope. That is an interesting expectation. So, of course, after those 3, I would then bring up like fish roadside gloves and boots. Again, so cheap, so affordable, so approachable, and they're not selling that much. Surely that would do better than 99 cents in the future. It might only double in price. Only? That's still good. So yeah, that I have to talk about both, but more specifically the roadside gloves. Boots might be a bit questionable, and yet still I can still see them work out quite alright. But gloves would be more higher priority and whatnot. And then Apotheosis as a war garage door. I expect to see more skins being produced after this, accepted, hopefully. But that's just straight up a very cool looking garage door. Like, everyone's been talking to me about what vibes greatly of Rust. Surely that vibes greatly of Rust. That's awesome. So, best luck to Icona. Let's see what gets produced next. So as long as we see more, I expect to see that doing better. All the other skins are perfectly fine in their own, but those ones specifically, I might be buying those. It wouldn't surprise me. So let's keep on the sales. Maybe the sales are too ridiculous next week. Maybe I just want to stick with Barders. We'll see how that is. But you've also got to keep an eye on the workshop this weekend. You're very likely going to see some interesting collection continuations being produced. And that's it. That's a wrap. So I know we sat here, we yapped for about 40 minutes, but if you just skip ahead, I mean, well, there you go. You just got the quick insight. So cool. That's it. Keep an eye on the workshop. Interesting things on the horizon. What will be accepted for May 4 swipe? Again, I'll point out, with the majority of skins this week, hardly seeing any like early picks. I can't help but assume you're going to see some interesting things from here potentially being accepted next week. So blah, 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 yap, yap, yap. You get the idea? Cool. So that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching the video. I greatly appreciate it. Best luck to all of you. Enjoy your weekends. And, well, enjoy May Day. You might have a day off or something. Anyway, catch you later. Goodbye.